So here's what I showed you before, average Q1, Q1AD, Q2, we're at 70-something%. And then for Q3, they don't go back to 50%. Yes. But damn, are they close to 50%? Yes. Okay, so it's actually significantly different. They actually, this number, this percent here is actually above this number here. So there is an improvement. But
if I extrapolate,
You have to take out those that got it by chance.
it's a little discouraging. Well, actually, it's very discouraging. But what I'd like to share with you is that this is not just my students. Like, it's not just that.
It's not you.
So and it's not just me. No, we did the same series of questions in the majors class again with some different parameters, and we saw a 61% retention there also. So this is a very repeatable number across 3 different genetics classes. I'm not going to obviously have time to share all that different data with you today, but this number of 61% seems to be robust. And we kept looking and looking, trying to find, couldn't it be higher than that? But it's not. So it's okay. So it's above what they were able to answer on the first question, but it's not like 80% or something really impressive. However, this I think is an important question right here. Are some students retaining more and some are students retaining less? In other words, what's our population look like? Is it that everybody has a 60% chance of getting the retention question correct? Or is there a bias, depending on your previous performance? So there is, which made me feel better. So again, here's the same graph I showed before, same tree I showed before. I've just taken out the Q1AD. So just if there's too many numbers up there. But so basically everybody had the same chance of getting things correct, whether they'd gotten Q1 incorrect or correct, 75% chance of getting Q2 correct. Now we ask them the next question. And the people who got Q2 correct have a higher chance of getting Q3 correct than the people who got Q2 incorrect. So if we look at these people here, they're basically back to 50-50 chance of getting Q3 correct, whereas these people and these people are more likely to get the Q3 correct. So, and these two numbers, this here and this, are not significantly different, but these green ones are different from the blue ones.
Isn't, 50% correct is, most of these questions have 5 answers.
They have 5 answers. They have 4 or 5 answers.
So you're not talking about just guessing even on
No, we're not talking about guessing, but we're going back to the overall percentage that we originally saw with these students who weren't able to answer Q2 correctly. What I think is really important here, again, it goes back to the constructivist things that are happening in the classroom, is that everybody hears the correct answer. And there is a discussion of the correct answer and of the incorrect answers frequently. I talk about how you should think about this, how you should solve it, what you should be thinking. People ask questions. It's very productive, usually. I always thought it was, right? What this instructor explanation was doing. But that's not enough, because these students who were wrong here, who themselves could not individually vote correctly on that question, even after they heard this explanation, they were not able to then, or they had a lower chance of getting the Q3 question correct.
So do you
that's
have
the most
so
exciting thing.
when you look at your responses, they're not, so they're binning around specific. Do they always pick the wrong answer?
Do they always pick the same wrong answer?
Or are they distributed, or when they're wrong, are they distributed across the wrong answers, or are they always picking the same one?
It varies from question to question, and sometimes the students there are 5 answers and they're split between the right answer and 1 wrong answer. Sometimes there's less convergence on a wrong answer.
I wonder if there would be an interesting something to be gained from the people who are the questions that have a single wrong answer. So the other 3 are not distracting to them. So, when they switch to the right answer, do they now really know the right answer?
Yeah.
When they were just guessing, because you could use an equal distribution to mean that they have no clue, they're just guessing.
Right.
And if they're actually picking one over the other 3, that might be something interesting.
That's a really good question. I don't know. I haven't looked at the distributions carefully. better hurry up here.
Oh, you got plenty of time.
So, to address your question, Robert, I didn't have this idea at the beginning, but I always put questions on my tests that reflect what I talked about in class, because you should. And so, I have a lot of short answer questions on my tests, but I also always put some multiple choice questions on there that look very similar to the clicker questions from class. So, what I did was I didn't look at the final exam. I looked because there weren't enough questions repeated on the final exam, but I looked at the individual tests throughout the semester, and I used those. There were 12 questions for 12 of the 14 clicker series that I ran. I had questions on the exams, and so then I just looked again at the students who got the question correct in class, Q3 question correct, versus those who got the Q3 question incorrect, and I looked at the performance on the test, and it's the same. So I think that's interesting because there's no predictive value of their performance on the retention question. That could mean a bunch of different things. One of the things it could mean is that students who get it wrong in class are motivated to go back and review it, maybe more so than people who got it right, who may be lulled into a false sense of security about their knowledge level. So maybe these students here who were incorrect on the review question are motivated to actually learn it for the test. And it's very hard to try to figure out what students are doing outside of the classroom. But I did just ask some questions of the students at the end of the course about their motivation and about what they thought about the review questions, these retention questions, and here's what they said. So it was useful for my learning to answer the review clicker questions. So I called them review clicker questions. This is the Q3 retention question that I've been just talking about. Everybody thought they were great. They thought it was useful for their learning. They also were motivated to answer the question correctly, which I thought was a little surprising because there are no points associated with the correct answer. So even though there's no points associated with the correct versus incorrect, students are motivated to answer correctly. And I've seen this before anecdotally, that people, they want to get the right answer even though there's no points attached to it. They're excited when they get the right answer. They're high-fiving each other sometimes. So they're actually happy to get it correct. And then these two maybe kind of get at the idea of whether they're motivated to go on and study more. So a reasonable fraction of the students said they were disappointed if they got it wrong. They kind of thought they should do better. And also that they were then motivated to study the topic more. Yeah.
If I interpret the previous slide correctly, the percentage correct after this further lag is pretty comparable to what it was on Q3.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's staying, the change is that the people who got Q3 wrong
Yep.
have climbed up.
That's right. That's right. People who got
People who
Q3
got
wrong.
Q3 right have gone down.
Well, not really.
Oh, they
Makes
kind
a
of
mistake.
stayed. I mean, the same about there was a 70% chance of them getting it right. There's still
Oh, no,
about a 70%
yeah,
chance of them getting it right. So they haven't really gone down.
Sure,
but they
yeah,
haven't
sure.
maintained their correctness necessarily.
God, there's so much information in those last two questions too, though.
Right here.
They boggle my mind.
Well, and this is just a survey. You know, this is a Likert scale
I
survey.
mean, that
so-
40% did not answer.
Right, that
agree
40%
with you.
weren't
They're
didn't
too cool.
weren't motivated or whatever.
This is
Well,
the
I mean,
non-major.
that's agreed or strongly agreed.
Yes.
It could have been neutral.
There were some neutral votes. There were some neutral votes here where people
It
just
boggles my mind.